Hello, everyone. I'm Alexander Marlow, editor-in-chief of Breitbart.com. And we got breaking news for you today. Joe Biden has done something that was probably inevitable in retrospect. He has put his foot so far into his mouth, he might not be able to actually retrieve it and walk around the campaign any longer. He has said, quote, "You ain't black if you back Trump." He said this on Charlemagne the God's Breakfast Club radio broadcast, a national broadcast with sort of a hip-hop vibe to it, tailored towards younger people. And Biden was supposed to get out of the interview about 7 minutes earlier, and he had this flub that was such an unbelievable shockwave through the political world. Well, let's get the details and figure out what's next with Jerome Hudson, who is our entertainment editor at Breitbart News. Jerome, good afternoon. What do we need to know here?
Good day to you, Alex. No, Joe Biden was on the rounds this morning. I think he hit a lot of major news outlets, but the Breakfast Club is co-hosted by Charlemagne the God. He has said that Charlemagne the God said that he supports Joe Biden, but Charlemagne the God has been critical of Joe Biden. And so the two of them spent about 20 minutes talking about Joe Biden's voting record. He supported the crime bill in the early 90s. He's worked with segregationist senators in the 70s. And Joe Biden, Charlemagne the God just lets Joe Biden go on and on and on and on again. And Joe Biden did say, as the interview was wrapping up, come on, man, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. It was completely unsolicited. Charlemagne the God immediately reacted and said, it has nothing to do with being black. Charlemagne the God said, "I just want to see things done for my community." When the news broke, Alex, if you want my honest opinion here, just unbridled, I was not
sure.
I was not surprised at all. A 78-year-old segregationist, former segregationist senator said something racist. I mean, I wasn't shocked. For the people who think that Joe Biden is a gaffe machine, while that is true, I mean, this was a series of words that were unbroken. And the fact that he smiled after saying it, to me, he said his campaign said it was a joke, but the rest of the internet doesn't find it funny.
No, and his tone is not overly joking. And if it is, who would joke about such a thing? I mean, it is sort of a sacred right in the United States, the right to vote, and suggest to black Americans that if you don't vote for me, that you're not really black. It doesn't seem like a joke anyone would find funny, and probably a good chunk of the population would find outright offensive. And so that's where we are right now, Jerome. We have here a man who's got a history of racially insensitive comments and actions, and he is now white-splaining blackness to black Americans. How does he come back from this?
I don't know if he can, honestly, because for the longest time, I mean, political scientists, people who follow politics and certainly history, you just know it. The Democratic Party was founded in part to preserve slavery. We fought a civil war over it. The Democratic Party side lost that. They used the Ku Klux Klan as a military arm to brutalize and terrorize any black or white person who voted for or supported a Republican. It's no secret, but for the leading Democratic Party candidate to make this a similar mistake as the last leading party Democratic candidate, which is to just basically malign a whole group of American voters. Again, he did it, but I'm not surprised. It's the type of paternalistic attitude that Democrats for decades have had when it comes to black supporters. But it is different for Joe Biden to go out on a national broadcast and basically tell black people, I don't have to do anything for your vote because you've always voted for me in lockstep. You've always shown almost blind fealty to me. And for him to let the mask slip in this way it's unbelievable. But again, it just confirms everything that we've always known about the Democratic Party.
To take a group for granted, specifically based off of their skin color, is one of the singular most clear acts of racism that I've witnessed in modern American politics. You typically don't make it this far if you harbor these stereotypical bigoted opinions about any race whatsoever, particularly Black Americans, a race that we literally enslaved and segregated against. Again, how could this person not have this overwhelm the rest of the campaign, Jerome? Is he going to have to apologize constantly? Is he going to have to do a racial reset where he gives a big speech? It's certainly he's going to have to pick a Black vice presidential candidate at this point, correct?
Yeah, but how does Senator Kamala Harris feel about this? How does Governor, Stacey Abrams feel about this? Those two women are Black. And they have been rumored to be on the short list for VP. We know that Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina is offended, is insulted by what Joe Biden said, but we don't know how Barack Obama feels. I think at some point, Simone Sanders can't speak for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is going to have to answer for this, which is, to call it a gaffe is just belittles it. He's going to have to explain how he came to a point where he thought that would even be something that's funny to say.
So I want to mention a couple of things, Jerome. John Nolte is a big piece at Breitbart that You Ain't Black and Joe's 10 other acts of racism. And he goes through where he said white kids are smarter than other kids. He bragged about his ability to work with racists. He bragged about segregationist Democrat not calling him boy like he did to others. He appeared to use the racist term roaches to describe Black kids. Now, this one is one of the ones that the media totally missed. People remember the big corn pop speech where Joe talked about vanquishing the Romans gang and corn pop at the Wilmington, Delaware pool. And during that rant, he says he understands roaches and he knows how to deal with roaches. And I looked into this. Roaches is a racial slur for Black kids. And Joe used this, and Breitbart was the only outlet that reported on it. So what he said today was 100% consistent. There's 5 other examples that Nolte lists. It's 100% consistent with how Joe Biden always has been.
Sure. Look, Bob Johnson, and I didn't know we were going to get to this later, but Bob Johnson, the founder of BET, has said that this points directly to that sort of paternalistic idea that Democrat lawmakers have had when it comes to Black supporters. You just ran through a laundry list of examples that point to racism that exists somewhere in Joe Biden's heart and in his psyche. I don't know if Joe Biden is a racist, but I can only judge him on his actions. He spent last summer celebrating and then defending working with segregationist Democrats on pieces of legislation in the 1970s. Look, if you aren't a supporter of Donald Trump, you have to at least give the man credit. He campaigned by telling Black voters, you don't have anything to lose at this point. You voted for Democrats for 50 years and their lives have gotten better, but have yours. And Donald Trump has governed. He certainly hasn't been a perfect president, but he's allocated, Alex, more money to historically Black colleges and universities than any other president in the history of this country.
Right.
Donald Trump has presided over historic lows in Black unemployment, record new businesses, particularly for Black women, Alex, have opened up under President Trump's governance. Now, some people say that, well, Donald Trump's just inheriting Barack Obama's good economy. But those same people are giving Donald Trump all of the blame for a terrible economy now. You can't have it both ways. So again, I'm judging Joe Biden off of his words and off of his actions. I mean, the man's a racist. He's saying racist things on national TV. He's saying that it's in jest. Again, every Black person that I've heard from, and even supporters of Bernie Sanders, they're not laughing. They're completely insulted by it.
Yeah, and Jerome, you said something very interesting a little while ago, which is that you said you're not offended. You're not only not surprised, but you're not offended. And why is that? He basically said, you're not black. I assume you're not going to be voting for Biden. He says that Ben Carson's not black and Tim Scott's not black and Candace Owens isn't black and Kanye West isn't black. None of you guys are black. And maybe it's a joke or maybe it's not. But I don't certainly believe it's a joke. I think that's how he feels, that the real authentic black Americans vote for Joe Biden over anyone else. So why isn't that offensive to you?
Well, I'm insulted, but I'm not offended. And I think there are two different things. I mean, I came to the conclusion about my identity as a man, Alex, almost 15 years ago. And I reconcile with the fact that I'm a born again Christian, first and foremost. And I comport myself every day as such. The people who agree with me politically do so not because of the color of my skin. They just happen to agree with my worldview. And it's actually immaterial how I look. And so I'm insulted by the fact that the media will circle the wagons. They'll give Joe Biden a pass for this. But I'm not offended. I mean, as I write in my article today that'll be online in a little bit, I mean, I've been called, Alex, a coon with bad African blood. I mean, everything in the book wow. I've had hurled at me simply because of the color of my skin and the way that I choose to vote. But I've never been insulted in that way by a Republican or a conservative. These are all Democrats. And again, they think they own people who look like me. And so therefore, they think they know better for how I should live my life and certainly for how I should vote. I just absolutely reject that line of thinking. Offended? No. Insulted? Yeah. And I just want the point to be made. If you are black and you are not a Trump supporter, and you're not offended by what Joe Biden said today, why is that? Would you not be offended if Donald Trump said you're not authentically black if you don't support me? If the media gives Joe Biden a pass on this, Alex, what does it say about that media? I mean, putting the merits of the allegations aside of the allegations of sexual misconduct against Joe Biden, putting the merits of them aside, if you are a victim of sexual harassment or sexual assault, and you look at the way that the media handled Brett Kavanaugh when allegations were lodged against him in the past that same media has given Joe Biden, I think these things exist in the same world. I think that this is going to be a test for the media just as much as it's going to be a test for those black voters who woke up this morning as Joe Biden supporters.
So what's the reaction been on the internet to this, Jerome? Have people been pointing out that this is a clearer example of bigotry than anything they could pin on President Trump? Is this the sort of thing that has been kind of swept under the rug because Biden's a Democrat and that means he can't possibly be racist? Well, what's the reaction been?
Joe Biden is racist was a top trend on Twitter today. It may still be. I think because, and look, Charlamagne the God, Alex, has a huge platform. Again, I think that the Breakfast Club is the #1 urban radio program in the country. And so I think because of who Charlamagne the God is, because of the way that he reacted when Joe Biden white-splained blackness, but Charlamagne the God saying, look, it's got nothing to do with me being black. I just want to make sure that black voters are being taken care of or being looked out for in the same way that LGBT voters are and Latino voters. I think that specifically talking about that roughly 17 million black voters in this country, Alex, I think they're certainly going to wake up tomorrow morning reevaluating how they might look at Joe Biden as a president, as a presidential candidate, in the same way that independent voters looked at Hillary Clinton when she called people who support President Trump deplorable. She also called them irredeemable. I mean, these are people's neighbors. Right. These are people, who teach their kids. And I think because the left has ginned up racial animus in this country for so many years, people are, for lack of better term, woke to this stuff. And so sure. I just think that if you hear what Joe Biden said in all of its context, it is absolutely just insulting. I mean, it has to be.
Let me read you something from Robert L. Johnson, founder of Black Entertainment Television, a statement he put out. Vice President Biden's statement today represents the arrogant and out-of-touch attitude of a paternalistic white candidate who has the audacity to tell black people, the descendants of slaves, that they are not black unless they vote for him. This proves unequivocally that the Democratic nominee believes that black people owe him their vote without question, even though we as black people know it is the exact opposite. He should spend the rest of his campaign apologizing to every black person he meets. Wow, Jerome, your reaction?
Bob Johnson he's 70 years old. He may even be 80 years old. He's certainly old enough, Alex, to have lived actual racism in this country, actual brutal bigotry imposed by one party and one party only. And it's the same party that Joe Biden is running on the presidential ticket to represent in November. Bob Johnson is a billionaire. He's probably one of the smartest people in this country. He built a media empire and founding the Black Entertainment Television Network. Say what you will about the program, it was valuable enough for Viacom to purchase it. Bob Johnson has been, Alex, in rooms that you or I may never be into. He's heard conversations. He's played rounds of golf with people. Bob Johnson has been laudatory of Donald Trump. But my central point is the man has lived racism. And I'm pretty sure that when he heard Joe Biden say what he said this morning, it stung Bob Johnson. I'm sure it did, because he went out and I mean, those quotes were just part of a longer statement from Bob Johnson today. And so if a man like this, who I believe was one of, if not the first black billionaire in this country, says to you, Joe Biden, that you should spend the rest of your campaign apologizing to every black American you meet, do you even really need to continue your campaign today?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So that begs the question, is there a chance that they try to remove Biden over this? And if not, I think they certainly have to put a black person on the ticket, which people will now see as a political ploy, which will cause controversy, and we'll have to relive this news cycle. And is there a strong enough black candidate that can undo this? I don't know the answer. Maybe the answer is Michelle Obama. I guess that would be the desperation play, but she doesn't seem very interested. So do you have a prediction, Jerome?
I don't. You know, I actually want to see Michelle Obama. I know that scares the hell out of a lot of people. I don't know why she would do it. She's making tens of millions of dollars as a civilian now, but I don't think that Stacey Abrams is serious or is taken serious among the donor class. If you're Kamala Harris, who I could see, 24 hours ago, I will say, as being sort of the front runner. She is smart. She is accomplished. She's a sitting senator. She's black. She's young, which actually cleans up the sort of age issue with Biden among Democratic Party leaders. I don't know. Again, like I said earlier, if you're Senator Harris, who took on Joe Biden again for his forced busing legislation and the like on the debate stage. I mean, if you 24 hours ago, you may have thought differently about coming on and joining him on the ticket. But how do you defend him now and remain whole as a woman, who on that debate stage told stories about the same segregation that Joe Biden, at least as a lawmaker, was at best wishy-washy on in terms of his record. The man was proud to work with segregationist lawmakers.
Sure.
It puts the party in a really bad bind. Look, the only thing I could say is that I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of people come up to me or send me emails, DMs, tweets, to tell me how insulting it was for Hillary Clinton to basically not run in 2016 on an economic strategy to uplift the economy, but on her genitalia, Alex. And so if you are a Black person and you are otherwise eligible to be a vice presidential pick, why would you take something that wouldn't even feel earned at this point? I mean, it was always cheapened down to something as superficial as that woman and her skin color anyway, but it's nakedly ridiculous now. I think they probably have to remove him. I honestly don't know what else they could do.
Wow. Jerome Hudson, entertainment editor for Breitbart News. Well, we'll see where this goes. I'm Alex Marlow, editor-in-chief. Thanks so much for checking out Breitbart.com 24/7, following us all over the social web. We really appreciate it, and we'll keep doing these videos, so thank you for watching.